This next video is also part of the remote preparation content for September 18th, which is really about the eye in geographic information systems. We've used this one data set really in the last few videos in the fields table, or sorry, in the fields folder to add fields, delete them, learn about what information could be put in a field, how it's structured, and then calculate them. And we'll end with a much quicker video that's going to focus on one of the right-click or two of the right-click options you find here called Statistics and Summarize. And I'm only going to introduce them quickly here because these come back at 2 or 3 points throughout the semester. Right, in a few weeks when we start diving into selections, remember that concept I brought up earlier where I said, if you learn one thing this year, make sure it's selections, that they're such a powerful tool. Well, they play a huge part in that, and I'll kind of tease out why that is today. And then when we actually start analyzing geographies and doing spatial summaries, we end up doing summary statistics quite a bit because, as you imagine, it's a very useful tool in the ArcPro family, right? How I can take numerical and categorical data and summarize those trends based on a shared attribute or a shared geography or whatever. So I think this is one of those it's best to just dive into and see what happens. So let's right-click and go to statistics, see what comes up and get a sense. Two things are going to come up that are going to look separate from each other at first. I'm going to put them next to each other just to sort of walk through. We'll look at this second and this first. So what have I done here? Well, I've taken total jobs, which is the field, and I've, excuse me. And I've come in here to say what statistics I'm looking at, right? So I can see that the mean number of jobs, so for all of the neighborhoods, right, the count is 158. 158 neighborhoods. For each of those, the mean number of jobs was 3,984. The median number of jobs was 1,500. The standard deviation was this. The neighborhood with the fewest amount of jobs had 22. The neighborhood with the most had 76,000. In total, there were 622,000 that we cataloged here, so on and so forth. And what I see here is the distribution. This is a concept you might not know yet. We'll learn more about this when we start visualizing data for the first time. But it's just a histogram, right? These blue spaces here, even though you can't really see it and it's not super clear, are representing the actual number of neighborhoods. So they would add up to 158, right? And this is depicting the number of them. And this is just showing me where that median value is, where that mean value is, right? That's all. It just sort of engages with what I see. The only other cool thing to know about this, and this is where I said I'll introduce selections. Oh dear, I didn't want to do that. Goodness. Drag this away and put it somewhere else real quick. Come on over here to map, and I want you to come to select if you're following along. Choose rectangle, and just drag and select something. I don't care where you are, just pick like a bunch of neighborhoods. And I want to see really quick how it changes and sort of what it means. And the moment I do that, a few things happen. First, I actually see the selections highlighted here, right? So I can see what I've selected versus the rest of the data. And if I wanted to, I can even switch back and forth. I could say, hey, only be the selected features versus only be the non-selected. And more importantly, I actually see my selections. I can see here suddenly that of the ones I selected, right, the mean jobs is 10,000, right? The number I selected was 27. The minimum was 25. The maximum was sort of this. So this will become really relevant when we start like selecting things by their name or selecting them by their location, because we can start filtering down our statistics based on some sort of shared geography or shared attributes. The last thing I'll do is come over to Summarize. And I'm going to right-click District Name, and I'm going to come down here to Summarize. I'm going to open something called Summary Statistics. Anytime you see this, it's just sort of telling you, hey, I'm going to create a new table. We could save it somewhere if we wanted. I think I'll just let it default to the default geodatabase. Just access it here. Case field is the dumbest name ever. What this means is summary field. It just means I'm going to look at all the district values you have, and you can see there's a lot of things repeating, right? Central, north, lower north. I think there's roughly like 12 or so total unique districts. It just means that it's going to take these 158 values and it's going to summarize them down to those 9 values. Right? This is kind of like the concept of a pivot table in Excel for those that have used it. And once I summarize by their name, I'm going to take a field. Right? Let's just do maybe, I don't know, we'll just pick population, or let's do total jobs. Let's do total jobs. And maybe we'll do total park acres. And just add them up. And if you had something else, like if you had maybe the home sale price in each and you wanted a median or something like that, you could pick a median or a min or a max, but we'll keep it simple with sum. And so I'll run it, and it's condensing, it's pivoting, it's smushing, it's summarizing, it's taking those 158 neighborhoods and condensing them down into 9 or so records based on the shared attribute from that field, or sorry, 19, I guess there's a little bit more, and are telling us, right, in Central, I found 19 neighborhoods, and the total jobs in Central was 264,714, right? In the lower north, I found 11 neighborhoods, the total jobs was 19,000, and the total number of park acres is this. So that's summary, right? You take a text or categorical-based attribute. In this instance, it was the sort of district name, and you perform a summary of all of the shape files, the unique records, the features that share that criteria.